Hey guys, today I'll be going through a workflow that I created that helps me reduce my phone time. What you see right now is the N8N flow. The best part about this setup is that it's completely free and you just need a few things to set it up. Before doing that, I'll show you a quick demo of how I use it. Add butter to my shopping list. That creates a new shopping list item called butter. So to get started, you would need a home server or a VPS, a virtual private server, an A10 instance, and then an M5 Stick S3 or any of the stick versions. So you might be asking yourself, like, why do I need this? What are the use cases? So I will quickly go over my setup. So right now, what I do is create an Obsidian node. What this setup would do is create a quick markdown file within this, and then you can also add things to your shopping list. So what I usually do is I just while I'm out and about or just cooking in the kitchen, I can say add butter to my shopping list like I showed you in the demo, and it creates an item inside my tick tick task under the shopping list. And then I also measure some metrics. So the amount of deep work I do, I keep track of that. So I just say deep work completed, and it goes and writes into my SQLite database. So creates an entry with the timestamp. So that's really helpful. And then there is another workflow that I call Markdown to PDF. So what it does is it would convert my Markdown files into PDF, and it drops it into a folder where I then pick it up on my Go reader. And then I can also create tasks within it. So I can create tick tick tasks. I also use it to track my habits. So it goes and marks things in my Habitica instance. I used to run all this using my Alexa, but again, it wasn't perfect. For starters, it was closed source, and then it ran into rate limits. So to overcome that, I used a local Whisper AI model to transcribe my audio. So I used the Whisper AI model that is running locally on my i5 server, and the installation is pretty straightforward. You clone it, you step into the directory, and then you build the project. So that resolved my initial issue of having a closed source system of Alexa. And then I ran into the second issue, which was running a local AI model on my tiny i5 server. So to overcome that, I used Cactus Needle. It's a tiny LLM that runs on most of the edge devices. Right now I'm running it on an i5 7 gen with 24 GB RAM. Yeah, the setup is quite straightforward. You just clone the repo and then step into it and then start the playground. So there is a Hugging Face playground for this where you can test out the different tool calls. So right now you just type something like set timer for 20 minutes and you have the name called timer. So this is the really important part. This is what is used by N8N to identify where to route the task, and then the argument which says 20 minutes. So the N8N instance sits here, and what I did is I just have a test file that is called with these arguments. So in this, it's pretty straightforward. You just take the checkpoint and then initialize the tokenizer. And this is where I have placed all the tools that I use right now. I can put that in the GitHub link if you guys need it. So each of these would be a route inside your n8n instance. That's all you have to worry about. So it reads the text file, and then this is where it takes the argument, and then it prints the result based on this generate. Once you have Whisper AI and Cactus Needle running, the next step is to start the workflow. So in this case, it starts with a webhook that receives the MP3 file or .wav file, and then it gets transcribed. And from there, it goes to Cactus Needle. And then from there, it's pretty easy. What it does is it looks at the name and then it routes it to the respective items. So, and again, what you can also use is a webhook response to get a success message when this workflow completes. This is what the complete setup looks like. And as an additional thing, I can show you what I do with the entries that I've placed in SQLite for my deep work. So the SQLite database is then read into my Metabase, which is used for charting out my deep work. So to give you an idea of how effective this setup has been, I'll show you my usage. Before I implemented this, it was 4 hours, which is bad. It's now dropped to 2 hours, 2.5 hours, which I think is pretty decent. That's all for today's video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.